Hi, welcome to another online maths tuition class, and today we're going to look at exam questions on coordinate geometry of the line. Now, in our previous clip we looked at the basics of coordinate geometry, how to get the distance, midpoint, slope, equation of a line, area of a triangle, and we're going to put all these things into operation now looking at these exam questions. So here's 2020 exam question number 2, and it tells us that the point A is 4, 6, the point B is minus 2, 2, and the point C is 10, 0. These are the vertices of a triangle. Vertices are just the nails that the triangle is hanging on. Find the distance AB. Give your answer in the form A times root B. So we label our points. A is the point x1, y1. B is the point x2, y2. Here's the formula written down, which you will have in your log tables, but write down the formula because it'll make it easier for you to do it. And then start subbing in the points. So x2 is minus 2, x1 is minus 4, y2 is 2, minus y1 is 6. So minus 2 minus 4 is minus 6 squared. 2 minus 6 is minus 4 squared. 6 sixes are 36. And minus 4 by minus 4 is plus 16. So 36 and 16 is the square root of 52. And when you type the square root of 52 into your calculator, you'll get 2 times the square root of 13. And they said your answer would be in the form A times root B. So A is 2 and B is 3. So very, very easy, very straightforward, nothing too difficult. Here's 2 points, find the distance. Next part of the question, part B1, find the coordinates of D, which is the midpoint of AB. So once again, very, very straightforward. They give you 2 points, A and B. They want you to find the midpoint of A and B. Here's your formula for midpoint. So x1 is 4, x2 is minus 2, y1 is 6, y2 is 2, 4 minus 2 is 2 over 2. 6 plus 2 is 8 over 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So there's your midpoint. Moving to the next part of the question. In a triangle ABC, E, which is 7, 3, is the midpoint of AC. Show that DE is parallel to BC. Now you can't just look at the diagram and say, yeah, they look as if they're parallel lines. You have to have a better explanation than that. Now we know that if you're in coordinate geometry, if you're looking at the slope of a line, if 2 lines are parallel, they have the same slope. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the slope of DE, and we're going to get the slope of BC, and hopefully we're going to get the same answer for both. And it says show that they're parallel, which means they are parallel, so we should get the same answer for both. Now, we worked out D a moment ago. D was the point 1, 4. They gave us E, so x1, y1, x2, y2. So it'll be y2, which is 3, minus y1, which is 4. x2 is 7, minus x1, which is 1. 3 minus 4 is minus 1, 7 minus 1 is 6, so the slope of one of my lines is minus 1 over 6. I'm hoping that I will get the same answer for the second one. So, moving on to BC, y2 minus y1 over x2, and just be careful here, minus 2. 0 minus 2 is minus 2. Minus minus makes that plus, so 10 plus 2 is 12. So I get minus 2 over 12. And you might look at that and say, oh, they don't look the same. But of course, if you go to your calculator and simply type in minus 2 over 12, you'll get minus 1 over 6. And what's our conclusion? Same slope, the lines are parallel. If the lines were perpendicular, One of them will be minus 1 over 6 and the other one will be 6 over 1. Final part of the question, find the area of the triangle ABC. If you're trying to find the area of a triangle, one of your points has to be 0, 0. So I have a 4, 6. I have a minus 2, 2. And I have a 10, 0. So clearly I don't have a 0, 0. So what I have to do is I have to make one of them 0, 0. Now this is the easiest one because you're halfway there already. So how do you get from 10 to 0? You take 10 from the x's. How do you get from 0 to 0? You don't do anything to the y's. So we'll use exactly the same translation or rule. You're taking 10 from the x's. So 4 minus 10 is minus 6. Don't do anything to the y's. You're taking 10 from the x's. Minus 2 minus 10 is minus 12. Don't do anything to the y's. You now have one of the points 0, 0. And if one of your points is 0, 0, you just disregard it. And you call the other 2 points x1, y1, x2, y2. Here's the formula. Half of x1 by y2 minus y1 by x2. Half of x1 minus 6. y2 is 2, y1, 6, and x2 is minus 12. Minus 6 by 2 is minus 12. Minus by minus is plus. 6 12s are 72. 72 minus 12 is 60. So it's half of 60, which is 30 units squared. Now what you can see from that question, fairly basic stuff. Distance, midpoint, get the slope twice and find the area of a triangle. That's 2020. Let's move to another exam question now. Here's the 2019 exam question. The diagram shows the line PQ and QR. So you have 2 lines, PQ and RQ. Coordinates of the points P are 4, 2, Q is 8, 5, and R is 2, 11. Find the slope of PQ. Very, very straightforward. They give me 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and all they want me to do is find the slope. So there's your formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 5, minus 2, x2 is 8, minus 4. 5 minus 2 is 3, 8 minus 4 is 4, and there it is, that's the first part done. Next part of the question. Find the equation of the line PQ. If you're trying to find the equation of a line, you need 2 things. You need a point and you need a slope. Now we just worked out the slope of PQ. So the slope of PQ is 3 over 4. We have the point P, which is 4, 2, and we have the point Q, which is 8, 5. I decided to pick the point P. So there's my x1, y1, and now I'm going to sub it into the formula. Y minus y1 m times x minus x1. Now you'll have marks at this stage already because you have used the correct formula and you've substituted correctly into the formula. I don't like the fraction, so I'll multiply across by the number on the bottom. So it's 4 times y minus 2, 3 times x minus 4. Brackets, 4 by y is 4y. 4 by minus 2 is minus 8, 3 by x is 3x, and 3 by minus 4 is minus 12. Now, if I'm writing the equation of a line, the way that I like to write the equation of a line is I like to have the x's and y's on one side. So 3x minus 4y, and the numbers on the other side. So that's minus 12, you bring it over, plus 12. And I have 12 minus 8, which is 4. 3x minus 4y equals 4. And we'll just rewrite that so that we have the x's and y's first, because that's the more conventional way to do it, equals the number. Now, if you look at the way the question is asked, give your answer in the form of ax plus by plus c. This is the correct way to write the equation of the line, but they want it in a particular format. So ax plus by plus c equals 0 means you must have everything on the same side equal to 0. So I just have to do one slight change. That's a 4. You bring it across, it becomes minus 4 equal to 0. And now it's ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay? Next part of the question, write down the slope of any line perpendicular to PQ. Well, if you can remember from the previous page, the slope of PQ is 3 over 4. What do you know about lines if they're perpendicular? If you know one, how do you get the other one? You turn it upside down. So 3 over 4 becomes 4 over 3. And you change the sign. That's positive, so it becomes negative, and there's your answer. Very, very easy. Okay, we're nearly there. We're on the last piece, and it says, again, find the area of the triangle PQR. If you're trying to find the area of a triangle, one of your points has to be 0, 0. And again, quickly looking, there's P, there's Q, there's R, there's no 0, 0. So what do we have to do? We have to make one of them 0, 0. Now, you can pick whichever point you like, but if I was doing it, I'd go with 4, 2, because 4, 2 is closest to 0, 0. So how do you get from 4 to 0? You take 4 from the x's. How do you get from 2 to 0? You take 2 from the y's, and that's your translation or rule. Now, you must apply that rule to the other 2 points. So, take 4 from the x's. 8 minus 4 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3. 2 minus 4 is minus 2. And 11 minus 2 is 9. So, I now have a 0, 0, so I just simply ignore it. And I call my other points x1, y1, x2, y2. And I have the formula for the area of a triangle. It's a half of x1 by y2 minus y1 by x2. x1 is 4. y2 is 9. y1 is 3. And x2 is minus 2. 4 9s are 36, minus by minus is a plus, 3 2s are 6, 36 and 6 is 42, and half of 42 is 21 units squared. And there's a second exam question done, and as you can see, they're pretty much asking us the same things: area of a triangle, equation of a line, distance, slope, midpoint. Okay, we move along. And we're looking at 2019. So here's 2019, question 2. The point P is 7, 10. The point Q is 1, 2. The point R is 11, 4. These are the 3 vertices of the triangle, PQR. The point U, which is 4, 6, is the midpoint of PQ. And V is the midpoint of PR. First question, find the coordinates of V. And V is the midpoint of PR. So you take P and you take R, you label them x1, y1, x2, y2. There's the formula, x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. And we'll fill them into the formula. So x1 is 7, x2 is 11, y1 is 10, and y2 is 4. So 7 and 11 is 18 divided by 2. 10 and 4 is 14 divided by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And there's your point V. In the next part of the question, show by using the slopes that UV is parallel to QR. Now, what do we know about lines if they're parallel? They have the same slope. We just worked out the point V. So we have U and we have V. We label them x1, y1, x2, y2. Here's the formula for slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's sub them in. y2 is 7. y1 is 6. x2 is 9 and x1 is 4. 7 minus 6, 1. 9 minus 4 is 5. So my answer is 1 over 5. So what should I expect for the second slope? That it would be the same. Why? Because they're saying show that the lines are parallel. So we'll use the same formula, obviously. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 4 minus y1 is 2. x2 is 11 minus 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. 11 minus 1 is 10. 2 over 10. And if you type 2 over 10 into your calculator, you'll get 1 over 5. Or 2 into 2 goes once. 2 into 10 goes 5 times. Both of them have the same slope. So what's my conclusion? My conclusion is that the two lines are parallel correctly. Part C. Again, they're asking us to get the area of a triangle. If you're trying to find the area of a triangle, one of your points has to be 0, 0. And you can see with PQR, we don't have any of the 0, 0 points. So we make one of them 0, 0. And I will go with 1, 2 for the simple reason that 1, 2 is closest. So how do you get from 1 to 0? You take 1 from the x's. How do you get from 2 to 0? You take 2 from the y's. That's your translation. What's a translation? Translation is a rule, and all you do is follow the rule. So the same 2 points, x and y, we'll be taking 1 from the x's. So 7 minus 1 is 6. 2 from the y's, 10 minus 2 is 8. We'll be taking 1 from the x's, so 11 minus 1 is 10. 2 from the y's, 4 minus 2 is 2. If you're trying to find the area of a triangle, one of your points has to be 0, 0. At the beginning it wasn't 0, 0, but we did a little bit of work. So you can now ignore the 0, 0, and we call it x1, y1, x2, y2. Here's my formula for working out the area of the triangle. Half of x1 by y2 minus y1 by x2. So let's fill in the values. Half of x1 is 6, y2 is 2, minus y1 is 8, and x2 is 10. 6 2s are 12, 8 10s are 80, but it's minus 80. So 12 minus 80 is minus 68. Now, half of minus 68 is minus 34, but remember that we're dealing with area, so we can't have a negative area. So these two lines allow us to drop the minus sign. So half of 68 is 34, and its area, so units squared. Okay, last part of the question. When we were doing the area of a triangle, the point 1, 2 went to 0, 0. That was by translation. And what's a translation? A rule. And the rule was 1 went to 0, take 1 from the x's. 2 went to 0, take 2 from the y's. In the final part of the question, they're asking us, find the point S is the image of Q by the translation UV. Now, we've just done a translation when we were doing the area of a triangle. Translation moves the point U to the point V. So here's the point U, and it goes to the point V. And how do we get from 4 to 9? I add 5 to the x's. How to get from 6 to 7? I add 1 to the y's. So there's your translation. What's a translation? A rule. Now, S is the image of Q under that translation or rule. What does the rule say? Add 5 to the x's, add 1 to the y's. So you start with Q, you add 5 to the x's, and you add 1 to the y's, and that will bring you to the image, which is S. So this fella is Q. So 1 plus 5 is 6, and 2 plus 1 is 3, and that is the point S, which is the image by translation. A translation is a rule. Okay, we'll do one more question. And we're back to 2017. question 3. The point A is 2, 1. The point B is 6, 3. The point C is 5, 5. And the point D is 1, 3. And you can see them here. They're the vertices of the rectangle. The vertices are the nails that the rectangle is on, pinned to. First part, very easy. Show the distance from A to D is equal to the square root of 5. So there's A, 2, 1. There's D, 1, 3. Label your points, x1, y1, x2, y2. As soon as you label them, write down the formula. Square root of x2 minus x1 to be squared plus y2 minus y1 to be squared. So x2 is 1. Minus 2. y2 is 3 minus 1. 1 minus 2 is minus 1 squared. 3 minus 1 is 2 squared. Minus 1 by minus 1 is plus 1. 2 squared is 4. You add them together and you get what you were told, square root of 5. Next, find in square units the area of the triangle ABCD. Now there's two ways you could do this. The area of a rectangle is length by width. We've worked out that that's root 5. We could find that distance, AB, and multiply the two of them together. But what I'm going to do is, I have the rectangle, and if I divide a rectangle into two triangles, ABD in this case, so there's my triangle ABD, I'm going to find the area of the triangle ABD, and I'll simply double it, and that will give me the area of the rectangle. So A is 2, 1, B is 6, 3, and D is 1, 3. And again, as we've done in previous examples where we're trying to find the area of a triangle, one of the points has to be 0, 0. I don't have a 0, 0, so I'm going to make one of them 0, 0. 2, 1 to me is the obvious one because it's closest to 0, 0. How do you get from 2 to 0? Take 2 from the x's. How do you get from 1 to 0? Take 1 from the y's. Do the same translation here. Take 2 from the x's, so 6 take 2 is 4. 3 take 1 is 2. 1 take 2 is minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. I want one of the points to be 0, 0. It is now, so you ignore it, forget about it. x1, y1, x2, y2, half of x1 by y2 minus y1 by x2. So we start subbing in the values. x1 is 4. y2 is 2. Minus y1 is 2. And x2 is minus 1. So 4 by 2 is 8. Minus by minus is plus 2. So that's half of 8 and 2, which is 10. So my answer is 5 units squared. And that's it. We'll move to part B. Find the equation of the line BC. If you're trying to find the equation of a line, remember you need two things. You need a point and a slope. Well, we don't have the slope of BC yet, so we'll have to work it out. Here's B, here's C. So I have my 2 points, so I label them x1, y1, x2, y2, and then I fill them into the formula. So y2 is 5 minus 3 over x2, which is 5 minus 6. So 5 minus 3, 2. 5 minus 6 is 1. So my slope is minus 2 over 1, or just minus 2. I now go to the next part of the question, and they're asking me to find the equation. What two things do I need? Slope, which I just worked out, and a point. Now I have 2 points, I have B and C, but I've decided to use the point B. So there's my x1, y1, so it is y minus 3 minus 2 times x minus 6, y minus 3, minus 2 by x, minus by minus is plus 12. Again, the way I like to write the equations, I like to have the x's and y's on one side, so I'll bring that minus 2x over. 2x plus y, numbers on the other side, 12 plus 3. 2x plus y equals 15. Now, if you read the question again, you can see, and this isn't unusual, they say write the equation in line as ax plus by plus c equals 0. It means have everything on one side equal to 0. So I just make a slight adjustment at the end. 2x plus y, that's a 15. You flip it across, minus 15 equal to 0. And that's your equation of the line. Now, we're after doing 4 exam questions. What you should be seeing is they keep asking us the same things over and over again. Distance, midpoint, slope, equation of a line, find the area of a triangle. Keep practicing those basic things. Label your points, remember. Write down the formulas and sub correctly into the formulas. Thank you.